Okay, there, viewer, thank you for joining us today on the arena on Aneke Television. My name is Chris Aneke. Thank you immensely for always being with us on this platform. Yes, this is where we meet to take on burning topical issues and matters which faces us as a people in society. And today, to help us do justice to what we have on the table, we have a senior lecturer, Department of Mass Communication at the Enugu State University of Science and Technology. He is also the acting chairperson of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUT chapter. Dr. Andrew Ape, you're welcome to Aneke Television.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure having
you
join us. You're welcome. Yes, of course. What are we looking at today on the show? The federal government's Jamb policy on age limit and other sundry matters associated with learning at that level, higher educational level. We'll be looking at these issues and more on the program today. Thanks for joining us once more. Yes, Doc, I don't know, you are into the academic environment. How do you see this policy by the federal government on Jamb admissions, age limit?
Okay. Thank you very much once again. Looking at the policy on Jamb admission, it has been, before now, 18 years for a candidate to qualify to gain admission into tertiary institution. And recently, Jamb now make it to be that any candidates or a student to qualify for admission into tertiary institution, you have to be attain the age limit of 16 years. And remember that this particular policy came in as effort by federal government to ensure maturity into education. Because most time you see that the people, some of these students will come into the institution without necessarily being matured to understand both the course and to understand the core aim of what brought them into the university. And looking at this, you see that sometimes if you check the academic system, in our federation, we have 6334.
That's right.
Before now. Then this policy, with that, you see a lot of persons who are into the university system behaving like kids. And sometimes you now see that if you graduate, because everything about this education are wired on human development. You see, the first stage of development, that is the system that allows 6 years from that your nursery to primary before you now get to the university. You now check it that in the world today, many persons are going into certain level of profession. And so many persons, you will see where a father is working, a mother is working. Then when they give birth, that child, sometimes at the age of 3 months, you see a mother decided to kind of take the child to what they call this crèche. Crèche. Some of them will go to the extent, some will go to the extent of even extracting the breast milk. Keep that for the child, then another person will take charge and feed that person through this feeding bottle. And you now see that in education, there is this thing we call predisposition. And in this predisposition, the predisposition is those knowledge that you garner from your family. And that is where you say that if you see a child, you must definitely say this person is behaving like a father, is behaving like the mother. And the person will just grow like that because of the environmental knowledge impacted on that person, what you learn. It is no doubt, theory have it, that if a child grows up, if you have a twin, and one now taken to US, another one in Nigeria, definitely both of them will not behave alike. The trait will be there by maybe the shape of the face, how the person look, but behaviorally, it will totally be different.
Because of environmental
environmental impact. Now, because of how people engagements people have and all of that, if you go out now to socialize in so many events and society, you see people who are behaving like people that did not come out from any home. And you see now, this, thank God, some of the communication theories, you see, there is this thing we call cultivational theory of the media. And that is why you see most children now take up these media celebrities and they learn from them, or even cartoon designed and programmed by certain persons, Westerns, and they ship that into us. And you see our children, those ones that are the crèche, they will just put that television for them and they will just be growing, learning those things. Some now start behaving like animals and all of that, wild animals, and you keep seeing these children.
I'm laughing,
in this policy, this policy wants to bring in maturity and a kind of also to ensure that no matter how you force your children, because those of them that started crèche 3 months, you see most of them, they will not have that mental development that is desired. But they will run faster in the system because they started early. Before 14 years, you even see some of them that have finished secondary school. Even some self at the age of 13 years, you see some person that have finished secondary school. And the person will be pushed into the university system just like that, without understanding actually what the person enters there to do. Unlike what we have before now, where you now see that if you have some self, you see them like most of us. You grow up from a family where 2 years you are still with your mother. Sometimes you are even taking breast at the age of 2 years, and you can even, some self will even after traveling, moving around, they come back and say, Mama, let me suck breast. And you see all of those things. Then you see that person. Those are those ones that even in the world today, you say they grew up under tutelage of people who understands culture and understand what it means to have standard. And those standard has no more, you don't see it now. That is why you even see children these days, they don't behave like father, they don't behave like mother, they behave like those images they see on television. Some would want to, they just map out maybe Davido or
any of
all those artists, yes. Without, then they keep on learning that person. There was a time, it was trending about all this sagging. If you check all the things about culture, they are all fading away because of what? We don't have what we call culture now. You cannot necessarily now say that this person is an Igbo person by looking at how the person behaves. This person is a Hausa person or even a Yoruba person. No. I have a situation in my class where you see people that do not even know how to speak Igbo. They don't even know how to speak Yoruba. They don't know how to speak Hausa. They speak only English. Then you wonder, say, oh, this person, maybe you came, you entered into the country through maybe US or elsewhere. You'll be surprised to know that the person was born, bred, and has never lived this Enugu to anywhere. But the person cannot speak Igbo because of that. So this policy by federal government that you must have to attain at least 16 years of age. At a point, they even gave a caveat that if you turn from the time of the policy to 31st August, that they will allow you to gain admission. But you have to attain that age. To me, if you look at it, looking at all the circumstances, the things around, and this person that are...
you are in support of the policy.
I'm in support of that policy.
You are in support of the policy.
It is nice, because at least it will now give us those people that will gain admission into the university to be fully matured and understand, yes, this profession I'm going into, you have to know exactly what is taking you into a certain field, into a certain area. Then it will also give parents the time. Where are we rushing to? Stay with your child, train the person to a certain level, let the person have that affection from a human being mother. You see, these days, when you see some of the horrible pictures where people are even treating other human beings like wild animals. Before, I don't even know. Even wild animals do not kill their fellow animals in a very horrible way. The way you see in these days, the thing that guides people now is no longer those values we know in the yesteryears.
Dr. Andrew Ape, we quite understand your position on this matter. You are in support of the policy. But then somebody somewhere may say, what is age after all if not just a mere number? 16 years, it's just a mere number. Shouldn't we rather be more interested in the curriculum? The curriculum that the child is made to pass through from the primary, the secondary, and then the tertiary, and then forget about the number. Shouldn't we be concerned rather with the curriculum and not the numbers, sir?
Okay. If you check the curriculum you talk about, you see that this curriculum are being prepared and subsumed into that number you are talking about. The curriculum that you talk about, before now, we have proper 6 years in primary school. That 6 years in primary school, if you check it, a child that stays with the parent 2 years, at least the person is developed to a certain level. Then the person now have behavioral pattern of how our people behave. There is this thing we call social relationship theory that states that so far you are closer to a certain persons, those persons will begin to define and determine how you behave, how you practice. If you stay with somebody, check your children around you. You see that if you do and you cover your mouth, the child, once the person wants to sneeze, the person will also cover mouth and do that. So that period, that 2 years period that the child is with you, the child is learning you. The child is gaining affection from you the way you breastfeed her or him. And the person is getting those knowledge from you at home. There are certain things parents do not do before their children. Then that is 2 years. Then that other 6 years you have in your primary school. The curriculum we have in our education system, we're all planned in a way that each year, the first year in that 6 years, are planned and scheduled in a way that there is what your brain can carry at that point. And that point, you see, that is what the teacher will teach you. It's not even all like now that you see everybody is opening schools, private schools everywhere that do not even go with curriculum, and people will just come and teach, and you see a child, the only thing many people define as being educated is speaking English. That you speak English does not mean that you are educated. So the curriculum designed well in a way that when it comes to that one, there is what they will teach you. And that thing is not only about language. Language is part of it, but that you are well knowledge about maybe how to speak this particular language and that language does not mean that you know. And that is why I remember an incident when we gained admission first in our first year. You see, a whole lot of person came with this intimidation, speaking English, speaking phonetics, and all of that. Then when it gets to the time to write exam, you see that most of them cannot write. They can't even read and understand. They only end up in that speaking, and some persons will use it to intimidate. That is why you see that so many persons are missing it. They are not getting it. And that is why you see that, talking about that curriculum, you see a whole lot of jobless persons graduating. If you ask all these persons that are in the university that just rushed and just graduate, some of them in final year, you ask them, what is in it for you? After graduation, one next, the person don't know. The person is thinking on the sign-out party, where the person will just use all the money, any leftover money the person saved. The person will use it to do, to hire car, hire Prado. That is the value where you see now. The person will use it to hire Prado and cruise the campus. Not thinking of even that small money, like 120, 150 you used to hire Prado to save it to look into a little, a small scale business that you can venture into.
Okay, Dr. Andrew Ape. Well, we understand you're trying to give credence to, this position, the policy by the federal government. But then I know a lot of persons may also want to say, do we throw away the gifted children who are super, super intelligent? Is it their fault that maybe at such an early age in life, they actually become so super intelligent. They've started doing well academically. So what happens when a child is able to go through primary, secondary school, even before 16? Why shouldn't the child be allowed to get into the forwards of the university? But then we'll come to some of these issues when we return from this break, because the signals are coming. So stay with us, dear viewer. Dr. Andrew Appiah is not going away yet. He's still with us.
Welcome to Aneke TV, the heartbeat of culture, truth, and innovation. From breaking news to inspiring documentaries, from grassroots traditions, mysteries of life to global perspectives, we'll tell your stories. We amplify your voice and your vision. With every screen we light up, we connect, inform, and empower. It's more than a television. This is Aneke TV. We move with the world.
Yes, you're welcome back. Thanks for returning with us on the show. We are still looking at the federal government's recent policy on Jamb admission age limit for the undergraduates. And Dr. Andrew Appiah is still here talking to us on these issues. Yes, Doc, we understand your position. You are in support. You favor the policy. But then we understand that also parents these days are going through lots of pressures. Financial pressures. Pressure to meet up. There are so many bills to be paid out there. And you know the economic downturn in the country, Nigeria, these days. The man wants to go work. The woman wants to go work. Nobody sits back at home to give that nurture which you've been advocating, which we used to have in the past. So these days, every parent wants to keep the child in school so as to allow them the time to go, let me use the Nigerian language, hustling. You understand? So is it the fault of the parent that they expose their children early enough to schools? And then in the course, the children becomes so super fast. They're out from secondary school at the age of 10, 11. So is it their fault? It's not the fault of the economy?
Okay. Let me just say thank you very much. You see, all these things are just sometimes we rob Peter to pay Paul in this training pattern of life. You see, check it. Even after all this rush that you see, yes, I know that these days everybody is going into the hustling pattern of life, and both the mother, the father, they are all working. And I also know that there is this, the only time given for maternity leave is sometimes 6 months, 3 months, that, and the person is now thinking of going back to work. And that's been noted. Mm-hmm. I also tell you that even before now, our parents, they had that job provisions for them. Some of them, most of them, you see that even have birth children, they were all teachers. Where you see even father teacher or even working and the other mother teaching. And they were able to just come up with good children that were all trained well. If you see this, will you even know that most persons that are graduating, rushing, they just enter, they rush and graduate, most of them stay like another 6 years or even 10 years at home. Because
why is that so?
Because they missed it at first. Once you miss the foundation, every strong and nice building starts from the foundation. Once you get the foundation wrong, I tell you, you will continue patching and managing. But if you get the foundation right, you don't have anything to worry about, because at any point you have a very solid building. If you even have this and maybe that child gets to a certain point, and like I know a whole lot of my friends that have been calling and saying my child passed Jamb and it's not up to 16 years and maybe the person needs to just push the child into the university. No, what happened to that time the person just finished within that period? You now use it to pay for that other time that the child was not at home with you. And you can engage the child into a certain level of training. You know now.
Because that's the question I should be asking you next.
The person will enter into training and
So
they get
for
to
a
know
child
how
who
to
is ready
breathe.
for admission before 16,
Yes.
16, what should the child be doing at that
If
point?
the child learns certain skills and that child enters university with that skill, I tell you, if that child saves that money, 120,000, 150,000, the child will not think of using it to rent a Prado, that he will just go and show off, I have arrived. The child will use it to buy maybe a small box that he will use to do pedicure, manicure. The child will use it to buy small thing that he will use it to be breeding other neighbors or colleagues' hair. And you see that the child will not even talk of this mentality of once you gain admission, everything is a white-collar job. You know, now, many people in the university, they don't even have a focus. They don't even know why they are there. People reading mass comm do not even know why they are reading mass comm. People reading law, they don't even know why they are reading. Now you even see so many persons in the university are just there for formality's sake. They don't even know why they are there. They just see that as a child, I must go to school. Why are you going to school? Then if you have your child, and that your child now, within that 2 years or a year, you will stay, you go and learn mechanic. And as that child get that knowledge as a mechanic person, he has that skill, and maybe he read engineering. That child will now graduate once the child enters university, and the lecturer is teaching about those things. He knows it practical. If somebody comes to this studio now and stay with you for 1 whole year, waiting for admission, by the time the person gains admission into mass comm, and you are teaching lens, you are teaching camera, you are teaching zoom in, zoom out, it is not a new thing for that person. The person has that knowledge, and the person will even excel well in the field. The person will even gain assignment and come here because he already has that connection between the town and the gown. But now you see, everything is just a stick to, you just run, rush, and just graduate, and the person will go back to the house and stay indoor. And by then, the person will stay indoor, highly engulfed with what we call inferiority complex. I have graduated, I don't have anything doing. And the person will be counting years and then numbers. And you see the person will not even have that courage to go out again. And the person will turn out to be a very big problem to the society. And that is why you see a whole lot of person just messing up. Why the person is just there, not doing anything, not knowing what to do, anything that comes into the mind, the person will now venture into it.
That the idle mind is always the
So I
workshop
think
of the
the
devil.
idea is, let us get it right. Use that time you finish your secondary school and you are not up to 16 years, gain certain skills. Once you have that certain skill, within that 1 year, even if you see people that wrote Jamb twice, that had the time to write, gain that knowledge, get that struggle to pass it. It's not the same from that person that just finished and entered direct. Because the other one has already garnered experience from the society and know the intricacies and even the difficulties in it.
Survival
involved.
mechanism.
Yes.
But again, Doc, I don't know how much time we have left. But again, you are the acting chairperson of ASU in ESUT now. What about the other part of the problem, the challenge where a child is admitted to school because of continuous strikes by you, the lecturers? You know, you're always back and forth with the government over one issue or the other academic-wise. And then you see a child who's supposed to spend 4 years in the university studying 4 years course, spending up to 6 years or more.
Okay. Although I may not just want to go deeper into ASU issues now, but I will just touch that one. If you understand the role of ASU, ASU is like a messiah to the Nigerian university. Without ASU, you will see that most Nigerian university will just be a junk, a place where anything happens. ASU fight for standard. ASU fight for the university, Nigerian university, to be up to standard with what you have in the international world. ASU regulates and ensures quality education. Each time you see ASU going for strike, know that ASU has dialogued, negotiated, and try everything possible to see that they resolve that amicably. And why are they going for strike? It's not all about selfish interest. It is all about quality education to our Nigerian citizens. And that alone, as we talk about laboratories, you need to have so thing, you need to have so number of staff to a certain number of students. You need to bring in those required welfare and those required standard of education. You do not cut corner. And ASU want to maintain that. Without that, university education would have been politicized in a way that they toil with it. And what we are graduating will just be anyhow thing.
Dr.
But ASU give you standard.
We appreciate that position of ASU. We understand and we appreciate. But most of the times, you understand that a particular government in power may not seem to understand what ASU is actually fighting for. And at the end of the day, we'll see a situation where ASU is going to down tools, because government is not, most of the time, fulfilling its own obligation. And then ASU down tools and stay at home. And then who receives it? Who is at the receiving end? The students. So for a child who is 16, comes into the university for a 4-year course, and after spending 6 years instead of 4 years, how old will the child be before graduating? As a result of strikes, as a result of delays and the rest. So why wouldn't we just allow any child, as long as you're through with your secondary school, not minding your age, get into the university? Because of these other factors.
You see, it is always right that whenever you are cooking, I use that instance, you don't just cook and bring a half-done food. It is better you just cook and prepare and come out with very wonderful delicacy that people will eat and enjoy.
No matter the time it takes.
Rushing and coming up with half-done food that people will eat and they will start purging and all of that. As we make university education to ensure that they stick to standard. If that's sometime before ASU goes into anything like a strike, that is the last option. And you will now see, like sometimes if you look into any time ASU goes into strike, you will begin to see certain discussion, negotiation, what they reached, and this agreement. You will even see agreement reached in 2 years past, even more of them like that, and which the government failed to do, stick to their own path, and gradually once they see that it is now becoming difficult before they could go into ASU is not spirit. They are made up of human beings. We have our children there in school. We consider them, we consider their future, and we also consider the standard of education in Nigeria. And on that is where ASU stand to say our children deserve the best. It is nothing else than our children deserve the best. Education in Nigeria should have the same, stay on the same level of comparative standard to that one of US, that of China, and all of that. Without ASU, you will see all of these things will be messed up.
The standard
will be reduced, and they will politicize everything. So sometimes it is something that if you must have the best, you must have to endure and sacrifice certain things.
Okay.
And those sacrifices you make are also, you will compensate it with the benefit that will follow suit. So anybody that is not ready to sacrifice, most time when the need occurs, will not live or stay to benefit certain things. That is why sometimes you see, it is always right when you're on the right track, you understand, yes, this thing we're doing this for a reason. And you sacrifice little to gain big.
Dr. Ape, certainly we are going to have you here on another day when we're going to look at the issues coming between ASU and the government. Let's know where we are at the moment, because we're beginning to get signals now from ASU. Another signal is coming from ASU to the government that very soon another strike action. So we'll have you in the studios on Aneke TV on this platform, the arena. Let's look at what these issues are. But for today, you've actually done justice to the matter. So parents are home, their students, you've heard it, the federal government has said, from August 31st, 2025, if you're not up to 16 years of age, no admission for you. So, and our guest today has said, use the time you have to go acquire more knowledge, skill-wise. Yes, go learn some form of skill, you know, to empower yourself and get yourself better prepared for tomorrow. Dr. Andrew Ape, thank you so much for coming to the show. And thank you for being very resourceful on the show today.
You're welcome.
He is a senior lecturer at the Department of Mass Communication at Enugu State University of Science and Technology, as well as the acting chairperson of ASU in the same institution, ESUT. My name is Chris Anibog. Bye for now.